Okay, so you're working the trade show when all of a sudden the traffic stopped. Where'd the attendees go? Where is everybody? What do you do? It happens at every single show. I'm going to give you the tips you need to make the most out of those slow times. I'm going to give you eight tips to be exact. Welcome to Trade Show University, where we help you get more leads, more sales, and more profits by doing trade shows right. This is another one of our 5-minute pro tips. Please hit that subscribe button for us. It would mean the world to me, and get this channel out to more people. So when the show gets slow, what I normally see is people just immediately they pull out their phones, they start scrolling, they're checking email, they're checking social, or maybe they get into conversation with someone else in the booth. Just not a good look at all. When those attendees start coming, they don't want to stop at your booth because you're on the phone. It's such a bad look. So to eliminate all of that and to make the most out of it, here's what you do. You create a strategy. And that means before you go to the show, you have to do your research. You got to figure out what you're going to do at the show when it's slow. And for those of you who are at larger shows, that might mean that if you're in the end aisles, you're in the back aisle, you're in the back corners, right when the show opens, which could be busy for a lot of people, you might not see anyone for a while. So you want to make sure that your people aren't just standing around. You're making the most out of the opportunity. You're there at a show. You got a lot of other businesses there, but you got to have a strategy. So before we go into the 8 things I recommend you do when the show is slow, first, you have to pull out the show floor layout. That show floor layout is going to be important for the first 4 of these tips. So number 1, you want to look for booths that could be potential customers. Who is there that you could sell to? Make a list of those so that and you have somebody that is designated to go to those booths that you can start to connect with, you can start networking, you can start learning more about their business and tell them about yours. So that's number 1. You want to look for the booths that could be potential customers. Number 2, you want to look for who are your competitors that are also there at the show. Because when the time gets slow, you want to get over to those booths. You want to be taking pictures, grabbing some literature. You want to see how are they presenting themselves? How are they doing things different than you? You got to know what your competitors are doing. This is a great way to do competitive analysis right there at the show. So that's tip number 2 is you want to look for the competitors, find out who's going to be there at the show. Tip number 3, when you're looking at that show floor, is you want to look for potential vendors or suppliers. Here's a tip. Reach out to your purchasing department ahead of time. See what needs do we have as a company? Or if you're the business owner, you know what they are. Write those down and say, okay, who can fill those needs for us? Because if you're at an industry show, you might be able to locate your next perfect vendor and perfect supplier. Tip 4, this isn't the show floor, but find out what breakout sessions are available. So when the show is slow, you can send somebody, hey, we need to have somebody at that breakout session because they're talking about trends. They're talking about something that's important to our business. So make sure you know that. So that's tip number 4. Figure out what breakout sessions and what times, of course, that is important too. What breakout sessions are available to you. So anything else you do before the show? Drop that in the comments and please subscribe if you're getting value out of this. Okay, tip number 5. Tip number 5 is when it gets slow, have someone walk the show floor and get pictures of other booths for ideas for upcoming shows. What design ideas do you like? What activations did you like? Does someone have a barista there on site or something really unique? Grab pictures that you can take back to your marketing team, or you could brainstorm and say, here's how we can do things better based on some feedback right there. So that's tip number 5. Have someone walk the show and get some ideas for upcoming shows. Tip number 6 is take that slow time to review with your team. Review your goals. How are we doing so far? Don't forget, these are what we're aiming for. Review your scripts. Make sure everyone understands the right questions that we're going to be using to engage with people, what we're telling people about the company, about a promo, about anything that's special. And also review what each person's role is at the show. So that's tip number 6. Take the time to review all that important stuff with your team. Tip number 7, make time to network. Networking is one of the best things you could do at these shows because you never know where your next opportunity is going to come from. And it's only going to come if people know who you are, what your business does, and find out what do the other businesses do, especially if there's someone new to you. Take the time to network as much as possible, especially during those slow times when everyone's walking around, they're looking for someone to talk to. Let that be you and your team. And the last one, tip number 8, take the time to give people breaks. So don't just have everyone just standing around waiting for dinner time. Get someone out of there, go grab something to eat, go if you need to hit the restroom, whatever it is, give people breaks. If they need to go make some phone calls, check emails, that's the time. Do that outside your booth, not in your booth. Get people out of your booth to do all that time that they need on the phone or on their laptop, whatever it is, not inside your booth. So that's tip number 8. Give people breaks, get them out of your booth. Well, hopefully one of those was helpful. And if you want to know what not to do at your booth, check out this video next.